Today is August 23rd, 2023. My name is Joe Reingold, and I'm here interviewing Rabbi Shawel about the Vaad Hakashrus, Kosher Dallas. Good afternoon, Rabbi.
Good afternoon to you.
If you will, walk us through the history of Kosher Dallas and the Vaad Hakashrus, how it came to be, when and where it became an entity here in Dallas.
My understanding, before I was hired to work for the Dallas Vaad Hakashrus in 1988, that's when I started. Prior to my working with Dallas Kosher, there were a small group of lay leaders that got involved, making sure the essentials were taken care of. A bakery, Chrysler's bakery, that there would be a butcher, Reichman's butcher, and prior to Reichman's it was Reverend Fromm or his son had a butcher on Lover's Lane. That was prior to me coming into town. Over the years, prior to me being part of the Dallas Kosher, Rabbi Shawel was the rabbi for Dallas Kosher, and in those early years prior to my being hired, there were a number of events taking place in hotels. And so they needed a knowledgeable mashgiach and a rabbi that would see to it that foods were served to the community or to the agency that was having a party, whether it was for a congregation or if it was for a federation event. The event was open to the community, and therefore it was open to everyone in the community. That's when Rabbi Shawel was hired. But prior to Rabbi Pearl being hired, I don't remember the exact year he started. But prior to him, there was maybe the rabbis in the community were seeing to it that the meats were kosher from Reverend Fromm, and there might have been, I think there was a bakery, can't remember the name of the bakery prior to Mr. Chrysler starting, and I forgot exactly the year that he started it, but the essentials were taken care of for the Dallas community. When I first came to Dallas in the summer of '84, the Federation said there were 26,000 Jews, and at that time there was maybe 25 Sabbath observant families that I'm aware of when I first moved here. Then when I started with Dallas Vaad Hakashrus, more and more families started to be part of our community, and since those early days, our population, the Jewish population, and especially the Orthodox or the more traditional Jews, have come here from all over the country, all over the world, and their needs are being met now for what the Dallas Kosher has to offer. And our agency has grown for just having a few accounts to having over 100 accounts, not just retail but industrial accounts that really keep our boat afloat. Because supervising a bakery or a restaurant or a caterer, we don't want to put the burden on them to pay our time for what our real time, because they can never afford us, because if we're getting paid even $25 an hour, the amount of hours we spend to make sure that the restaurant or the caterers stays afloat, their monthly stipend is to be certified still doesn't cover the time that we spend with them. So thank God for the industrial accounts. We have just yesterday I was in Amarillo supervising, making an inspection at Plains Dairy, a dairy there. We're in San Antonio. We're in Austin. We're in Houston. We have a plant up in Illinois. So we're all around this region, and we've grown and we continue to grow.
How did you get your mashgiach certification? Where did you get it from, and why did Dallas appeal to you to move here?
Well, when I first moved here, I was part of the staff at Akiba Academy. I taught there for 4 years. I taught the Judaic studies there. Prior to coming to Akiba, I was in Cleveland, and prior to that I was in Yeshiva in Coldell in Florida. And that's where I got my smicha, my ordination. I learned to become a shochet as well, to the ritual slaughtering of animals, both poultry as well as bovine animals. Not too many people that go into the rabbinate learn this, but I wanted to become well equipped. I knew that I was something that I wanted to serve our communities, and I grew up in a small town in Virginia, Newport News, Virginia. I lived in Charleston, and my dream was to go back to the South to teach Torah and to make Jewish communities viable, and I've been very, very fortunate. So when I got my smicha, that's when I was tested on these laws of kashrut, which is a big part of the kosher laws, in part of the smicha.
Wonderful. What kind of challenges do you see going forward for this organization?
The balance, as I hinted to make sure that our restaurants and our caterers stay afloat. We do anything and everything to make sure that they are in business, because Dallas Vaad Hakashrus is in business for our community. We're not in business for ourselves, and we want to make sure that there's dairy restaurants. We want to make sure there's meat restaurants. We want to make sure that the caterers serve our community. So that's the biggest challenge. In dealing with people. Obviously, we're in a people business, and dealing with Americans, non-Jews, Israelis. Everybody has a different culture and a different bent, and all of us at Dallas Kosher could probably give a class on the psychology or just getting along with people. It's amazing what we have to go through in order to placate issues that come about, and it happens all the time. It happens every time. We're dealing with so many different moving pieces. We have a mashgiach, a supervisor at the location, the owner, the client. There's a lot of moving parts, and they all have to hopefully hug one another.
I was going to ask you what the role is these days of, I know you have an executive director, but I'm guessing you didn't always have one. But how did that evolve, and what does she do?
Very good. So when I first started back in the summer of 88, I came to Dallas in the summer of 84. I taught at a kibbutz for 4 years, and so in the summer of 88, that's when I started with Dallas Vaad Hakashrus. At that time, Mr. Bernie Gerson, Oliver Shalom, God rest his soul, he was the president of the Vaad, and then Bill Finkelstein, God bless Bill Finkelstein, he got heavily involved in the Vaad Hakashrus at that time, and he was the one that hired me to be the rabbi for the Dallas Vaad Hakashrus. In those early days, we had no executive director, and Bill's office took care of sending out bills and doing the menial things that needed to be taken care of. After a number of years, it was just me and Bill doing whatever we did, and on a very, very small scale. Dallas Vaad Hakashrus hired Rabbi Shawel, and even prior to him being hired, Jerry Finkelstein came on board as the executive director for many years. I don't know how many years altogether. And then after she was the executive director, she wanted to spend time with her family. Dallas Kosher hired Miranda Weiner. She was for a number of years, and now for the maybe 4, 5, 6 years, Meir Naor has been the executive director. So our roles have evolved and grown.
Mm-hmm. What are, if there are, different levels of membership, and what does somebody get from being a member of the Vaad?
So the idea of membership is we do need their money, obviously, as part of our bottom line, but just to educate people that they should be part of this very worthy, worthy and an essential part of the strength of the Jewish community. You might have different congregations in town. Each congregation has its own direction. The Vaad Hakashrus of Dallas is an agency that has the support of all the Jewish community, the entire Jewish community. In order to have a strong community, we need the community to be together and to have unity, as you spoke earlier about, and what you have in your congregation. So the unity of, or the essence of the unity of the Dallas Vaad Hakashrus speaks to every Jewish organization here, because we don't want there to be any type of dissension among anybody. So and we have this membership that people participate in. You can start off at $36 just to be a member, and that shows that you believe in our organization. Do we need everybody's $36? Yes, but the essence of that $36 shows that you realize how important a strong Dallas Vaad Hakashrus is. There might be others in the community that think that we strong arm, and they might think of the Vaad Hakashrus as being the mafia of kashrus, and they can say whatever they want. But you know what? It is the strength of our organization, the strength of our community. There are not too many other communities like Dallas Kosher. Just recently, I've received a letter from a woman that made Aliyah. She moved to Israel, but prior to moving in Israel, she was living in Hartford, Connecticut, and she saw the workings and the foundation of what we have here in our community with the Dallas Kosher, and she appreciated it so much. She got involved in building her own kashrus agency, where she was one of the maybe the lay leaders that said, let's do this in Hartford, Connecticut. And she was praising what we do here, because she somewhat tried to mimic that in her community in Hartford. And she just came back to Dallas recently, and she just wrote a nice little letter to us saying that she really appreciated what we do, and it's helped her community. So I'm not sure if I answered all the parts.
That's very good.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
On a little bit of a personal note, you've been here many years now. How have you seen Dallas change, besides obviously the growth of the population and the Jewish population in particular? But what else have you seen as far as changes in the city?
The changes is that it's not the small city that I grew up in, that I grew up in, or that I came here as a young rabbi. And that's good. I've matured, and I'm trying to go along the flow as well. And we are a strong Jewish community, and we have a diverse Jewish community. There are many congregations, and there's many congregations that Jews don't go to. So when I wear my yarmulke, doing a bris, I come in contact with other families that are not part of the membership of other congregations, and I just see it's wonderful to see the diversity among Jews, and if I could teach someone, if I could expose other Jews to the beauty of any mitzvah, it gives me it just feels, as they say in Yiddish, it's geschmack. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. So the diversity is probably the greatest feather in our cap, and the numbers are so much greater. I think that Federation has said there's over 70,000 Jews in Dallas now, and I don't know how many congregations there are, but there are many different minyanim in town, and Jews get together and they pray and they worship, and that's where they get their spiritual energy from their congregations.
You've touched on some wonderful aspects of your life here, but now I want to ask you if you can think of anything else that you haven't mentioned that you're very proud of, whether it's part of the Vaad or something else.
I mean, recently I'm a Michigan on Facebook, so and I hold dear the relationships that I come in contact with people. I really do. I received an email years ago, and I hold it very close to my heart, that God is arranging for people to meet. And you have three choices: be nice, not be nice, and be terrible, or choose to never let them go. So I've really embraced that email, and I try my best to live by it. And I just love the relationships that I have with people. God has brought people into my Dalanamas, into my 4 L's around me, and I want to hold on to that, and it means a lot to me. And whether all the different type of yarmulkes that I'm involved in. I mean, I'm involved in different aspects of the community. I don't need to tell you everything that I do, but they're all very, very precious to me. And that's this Facebook, or this social world, and the kashrus that I do, it allows me to do this, whether with Jew or non-Jew. I get a chance to go to the Legacy. I go to the JCC. I see seniors here. I see the seniors at the Legacy. I see women shopping on Friday for Shabbos, and it feels wonderful. And especially when I see little babies running around. It's all part of my life.
Can you pick maybe one thing or a couple of things that you would like to see happen in the near future with the Vaad Hakashrus? Any particular goals that you have for them?
I haven't given this much thought,
Oh, okay.
but we continue to grow. We do supervision. Our agency does supervision for the other big agencies as well. Sometimes the Orthodox Union asks us to do some work for them. The Circle K asks us to do work for them. The Cuff K in the past have asked us to do for them. Star K, I was at a chemical company before I came here, making sure their glycerin was kosher food grade as opposed to animal base.
That reminds me of something. Does your agency do a lot of outreach and advertising, or do people just hear about it, on the cuff and then contact you?
We have a website. Usually the industrial accounts are motivated through their need. Meaning if a company is, I'm trying to think of a company just yesterday I was in Amarillo, Texas. I made an inspection at the dairy there. Are there any Jewish families there? Whether or not do they care whether or not there's kosher milk up in Amarillo? Can't say there are. Maybe there are. Maybe I don't know. But the motivation of that company, they needed. They bring in raw milk and they break down that milk and they go to homogenize, go to pasteurization. So it's broken down. So you have whole milk, you have cream, then you have whole milk, 2%, 1%, etc., and skim milk. So when you have full fat milk, you don't sell that. So you have a lot of excess cream, and that cream that comes off of that raw milk needs to go someplace. Are they just going to throw it away and get a loss on it? They could sell it to a ice cream company. They could sell it to another company that uses cream. So that's how we got that account in Amarillo, because they needed to sell their cream. And so if they were going to sell their cream to Breyer's Ice Cream, for example, or another ice cream facility, that ice cream facility was not going to accept it unless it was certified kosher. So do we, to answer the question, do we advertise? No, we don't really advertise. We don't push it. But sometimes it has happened with me. I was in a grocery store in Louisiana. I was in East Texas making a kosher inspection there, and I was walking through a Walmart and I saw some honey. Honey is a pretty innocuous type of food. It doesn't need supervision. It's kosher. And I saw a product that was not kosher. I saw that it was not marked kosher, certified kosher. I saw the number on the back. I picked up my phone. I called him. Hey, by the way, I'm here in Louisiana. I want to know if your product is kosher. He says, it's funny you're asking me this, because I was just thinking about this, because I know that all of my competitors, they have a kosher symbol on it. Well, today's your lucky day. I'm calling you right now. So we had that company was under our supervision for a number of years. But it's all fun and games. It's learning. It's always a learning. They might have the basics of Jewish law, and we wanted to set up our kashrus agency that has a high standard. This way, everybody in the community could be comfortable eating. We'll have Hasidic Jews that come into town, or even the Hasidic Jews that live in town. They will probably go to, even though they're very particular about certain types of milk, they have that opportunity at one of our kosher restaurants in town. They can get with separate equipment and silverware and plates and frying pans. That's all segregated just for those people that have a higher standard. And our meats, there might be some very, very strict families that want not just a Circle U certification on it, they want a Hasidic certification on it. So we keep logs about this. This way, when the customer comes in, do you have the Hasidic slaughter certification? And they go back into the log book. That's when it was documented, and say, oh, this particular product that came in this last week is all certified by that Hasidic group. So we try to have a high standard, and everybody feels comfortable enjoying the work that we do.
I have just one quick negative question.
Go for it.
That I thought
I
of.
get them all the time.
Yeah, right. Have you ever had to take away a Vaad certification from a restaurant or a store when they were not following the proper regulations? You don't have to name names. Just
Yeah.
curious if it's ever happened.
It has happened over the years where we decided not to continue a relationship with them rather than let them save the egg in their face. You could say, you know what, we decided not to be certified kosher anymore. And that was, I think that was the menschlich thing to do, as opposed to say, you know, because of kashrus reasons. And it has happened.
Okay.
And it's sad. It is sad, and because it is sad for many reasons, and obviously we're driven for the needs of our community. We have a high standard, and we have a kashrus standard, and that meets the other kashrus agency throughout the country. The big boys, as we say, the OU, the big larger agencies. We have a very strong, high standard, and we don't want. And when a facility, whatever the place might be, does not following the rules, we part ways, and we shed tears because of that. And it is true. We have cried because we want to serve you. We want to serve them. We want to serve our community. And people will say to us, well, you couldn't work with them, whatever they might say, that type of thing. I said, do you think we're that shallow that we walked away because we felt good about it? No, we do it because we had to.
One thing I don't know is I'm thinking, do you meet with other people? Is there such a thing as an annual convention?
Yes, there has been over the years. There's been we are part of the AKO, Association of Kashrus Organizations. It's a international agency. They have if you have a certain standard, and then you're invited to be part of this organization. So we get together for the last many years during Kosher Fest. That was a large, a very large kosher food conference, or not. It's just a Kosher Fest. It's a food bazaar. You know, you have all the different foodies are out there making things. They want to show what they make. People schmooze with one another. Oh, can I get your product? You know, and it's nice. And so just recently that has stopped. But maybe a day after that, many of the large kashrus agencies that are part of AKA would meet at the OU office in Manhattan. So over the years we've gone there, and we've had Rabbi Klein recently went to Montreal for a group, and we had a meeting, I think, last year in New Jersey under the auspices of the Kuf K agency, and that was lovely as well.
That's good to know.
It is good
I
to
did
know.
not know if you met or not.
We do meet, and we share a lot. We have a WhatsApp group, and there's over hundreds of rabbis that are part of this AKO WhatsApp group. And you put a question in there, and I got a question. I put something on there just recently about a product came in from France, and it had a kosher certification symbol on it, but that agency is not usually readily widely accepted. The standard is not as. So I said, would anyone happen to know? Is this up and up? And so someone says, I feel comfortable. You could say you could use it. So
okay.
So it's all good, you know. And with a lot of stuff going on all the time, and we're constantly sharing with other agencies. We have to be on the cutting edge all the time for our community, and we get that information out. So we have a lot of vehicles in order to inform our members, whether it's through Facebook or other avenues of emails. We get that out all the time.
Well, I certainly thank you for your words of wisdom and for your work that you've done with this agency.
It's
and
wonderful.
Just wonderful to be here, and thank you so much
Thank you. It's been a
to
privilege.
interview with us.